We're here to be professional. This is Brandon Marshall Havener with Jay, and we got Steve on the call with us, and we got some people trying to get in on the back end. And hopefully, if somehow you're listening to this on the back end and you decide to slide in the front in the next hour, don't do that. Come up here now and present yourself and get the most out of this training so we can get some feedback from you. So a little introduction. JL, he's a master chef, and he is an expert around food, the thought process and the mindset around food, and also he knows how to cook some of the greatest food ever, and he cooks food for entrepreneurs and helps them with their lifestyle, improving their lifestyle, improving their fitness as well through that, and making life easier for them, because this is his zone of genius, and he's a master at it. And I am the relationship guy. I help people break through the inner game of their relationships. I help entrepreneurs expand in their business as well. And we've come here to help you with some of the questions that you had on Facebook around limiting beliefs, aphrodisiacs, and your thought process around food, and a lot more. So I'm gonna hand it over to Jay, and
Awesome.
so you can tell them about yourself as well.
Thanks, Brandon. You're very kind. I think you pretty much summed it up. I am a lover of food, and not in a dirty, sick way. I really love food and what it is, and just the power that it has in our lives to transform and support us in the decisions that we make. I want to just kind of jump right into it. Steve, you said that you had a couple questions about aphrodisiacs. I'd like to just kind of start off with that. What you got?
Well, I think everybody has seen one of those articles on MSNBC or somewhere where it says, oysters are like the biggest aphrodisiac, or there's the ones that you hear about, but I wonder if there's any of them that are actually really healthy, and do they really work, and do they work for everybody? Do they only work for certain people? I have my own theories, but I'd like to hear yours.
Excellent. That's a lot of ground to cover. So first and foremost, as far as aphrodisiacs go, on a chemical level in your body, there is no food that has been scientifically proven to have an aphrodisiac effect. Okay? And that doesn't mean that there are no such thing as aphrodisiacs. What that means is that it's not a chemical thing, that, oh, you eat this, particular food that has, these different properties to it, and it's going to, increase your libido or whatever like that. It's a mental thing, okay? And food is very much a mental thing. So when it comes to like the sensuality of food and aphrodisiacs, it's what we believe to be true that actually becomes true. Does that make sense so far?
Absolutely. That's how our brains work. We create it in our head before we create it in real life.
Exactly. So really, I mean, anything can be an aphrodisiac. Just a quick story. One of my good friends, this has been probably 2 years ago, had my creme brulee for the very first time. Now, I make a killer creme brulee. I'm like the creme brulee master. It's one of my specialties, and I wreck people with it. They won't order it anywhere else once they've had mine. She had never had creme brulee before, so she started off with mine, which is kind of a rude thing to do, because I just wrecked her on everything else. But she loves it. Now, watching this woman eat my creme brulee is like borderline obscene, because she loves, like, her eyes roll back in her head, and she just like starts moving around on her chair. Like, it's an experience to watch her eat this creme brulee. For her, my creme brulee is an aphrodisiac. Now, she's the only one I know that it has that particular effect on. But for her, it's a very sensual food. It's all about it. That's what she's all about. She just loves it because of that experience. And every time she has it, she, like, it's not something that I just have, on hand or whatever. But, usually it's like, hey, can you make me some creme brulee? Or, hey, I've got this event coming up. Can you have creme brulee at it for me? And so she always builds up that anticipation. She remembers that first experience she had and how sensual and luscious that was. And so now she gets into the whole build-up of what that experience with creme brulee is. She knows what to anticipate. And so when she actually, gets that first bite of creme brulee, it's, it's like a climax for her, And I think that holds true with pretty much any food. I think it's really the build up to it, you know, what we do to that food to build it up. You know, it's like, for example, if I were to just take a Hershey's bar, you know, buy it for $1 at Walmart or whatever, and bring that home and hand it to my sweetheart, there's no aphrodisiac properties to that whatsoever. Yeah, it's chocolate, and, you know, I mean, but it's shitty chocolate. Now, conversely, if I were to buy a really high quality chocolate, had a little bit of cream, a little bit of butter, turn that into a really nice ganache, maybe get some strawberries to go along with it, plate it up really nicely where I had like a little bowl of the chocolate ganache, still warm, had some strawberries, some berries, you know, maybe some pound cake or something like that with it, brought that to her, you know, with candles lit in the bedroom and things like that, that could very much be an aphrodisiac. You know, so it's still chocolate all the same. It's just what goes into it. You know, what's the buildup? What's the premise? What's the, you know, the anticipation? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it sounds like you could sell tickets to that lady eating your creme brulee, though.
I totally could. No names we mentioned to protect the innocent, but yeah, it's like, seriously, the first time I didn't get to actually witness her eat it the first time. It was she was working for my wife at the time, and my wife wanted me to do that for like, I don't know, one of her meetings, and so I'd made creme brulee for the meeting, but I couldn't be there. But the second time I saw her eat it was for her 40th birthday party, and yeah, it was something, man. I'm telling you. I was like sitting there.
All right, guys,
like,
I told you I'm
really
gonna have to jump off early. I gotta run, but I'm definitely gonna listen to the rest of the replay later.
Very cool, very cool. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for being here.
All right, see you guys.
All right, so I think that about covers aphrodisiacs. You got anything else you want to add, or any questions you've got, Brandon?
Like I heard something I want to run it by with you.
Yeah.
About eating like a medium rare ribeye before you go to sleep, and I heard eating that will bring out that primal energy when it's in your system.
Huh. I think that's going to go back to just the whole, if you believe it's true, it will be. You know, when it comes to food, and we talked about this a little bit on the last call, you know, I mean, there really is no, I'm going to back this way up and then come back into that medium rare ribeye steak for a minute here. When it comes to food, you know, a lot of us have this mindset that it's, you know, there's good food and there's bad food, you know. These things are good for me and these things are bad for me. And the confusion really comes when it comes to nutrition and food is, you know, okay, well, what falls into the good category and what falls into the bad category, you know, and are there things that are borderline? And, you know, really getting to that kind of minutia strips away all the joy of food, you know, and at its essence, food is a very intimate, joyful thing, you know. I mean, with every bite of food, we are making an affirmation to continue living, you know. Our body's pretty good at taking care of itself without any involvement from us. You know, we breathe on our own. We don't have to think about it. Heart beats and does its thing. All these different systems in our body, you know, the liver and kidneys, you know, flushing out toxins. Like, our body functions really well without our involvement. The one job we have is to nourish it. We have to eat, okay? And for a lot of us, that, you know, many people, it's a tedious task. It's something they dread. We have all these thoughts and beliefs and all this shit wrapped up around what eating is. You know, when it really should be a very simple, joyful process. So stripping away the paradigm of, you know, there's good foods and there's bad foods, you know, just take that all away. There is just food, okay? And that food will either support you in your goals and your mission, or it won't. You know, one of the most fit men that I know, I mean, he looks like freaking Superman. He's just ripped. You know, he doesn't spend a whole lot of time and energy worrying about what he's eating. Now, he eats very healthy. You know, he eats the fuel that his body requires to be in the shape that he's in. But if he's, you know, checking out at the gas station and wants a Snickers bar, he'll grab a Snickers bar. It's not a big deal to him. You know, it's because he eats really, really well 95% of the time. That 5% doesn't matter. So he's still got the joy in his food. He's able to eat what he wants, when he wants, how he wants, because that's the way he's built his life. So really what it comes down to, coming back to the ribeye, is that it is what you believe it is. You know, if you strip away all the paradigms about, oh, you know, that's, you know, you can't eat that close before bedtime, or, you know, and even take away the paradigm of, you know, oh, this is going to increase my belief, you know, libido. It's that primal energy and stuff, you know, just let it be food for you. And if more primal energy, more libido is what you want, and you feel like that food is going to give it to you, awesome. You know, imbue that food with those characteristics and eat what you're going to eat and believe what you're going to believe. Does that make sense?
Definitely. We spend so much time putting this negative energy around food. So we have a certain goal in fitness, and then when we slip up and maybe eat a pizza or something, we're still enjoying that pizza, but
Oh shit, yeah.
it becomes a thing of shame. Like, oh, how
Uh-huh.
dare I eat this pizza?
Uh-huh.
And the shame afterwards from that pizza is probably a lot worse to uh, your physical fitness than actually eating the pizza itself, because now hours later after eating it, you're marinating in shame and you're telling
Uh-huh.
yourself that you're going to get fatter, and
Mm-hmm.
your mind is operating on that level, when in actuality, if you were to eat that pizza and you could tell yourself, oh, I'm fit no matter what, and I'm healthy no matter what, and you eat it, and it wouldn't phase you as much. It might not phase
Exactly.
you at all.
Exactly. But and I love that you touched on that about the shame, because lots of my clients that I work with on the whole mindset around food, um, that's, like I said, the stripping away the good and the bad, getting rid of that paradigm altogether is one of the foundational principles. It's like eating that piece of pizza. Sure, I mean, it's got high carbs, it's got high fats, very little protein. That's cool. That, you understand that. That's great. Okay. What you know is that earlier in the day I had tons of protein and very low carbs and very low fats. So in the big picture, is this one piece of pizza or these two pieces of pizza damaging to me? Not nearly as much as you think. But then you wrap up that shame. I mean, what happens on a chemical level in your brain with all the hormones and receptors that are being released, it messes with your metabolism, it messes with your digestion, it messes with the whole system. Okay. So really being happy about what you're eating is one of the fastest ways I know to get healthy. If you're happy about your food, if you enjoy your food, it's going to be way more nourishing to you than the sum of its components. Like, you can look at it on paper and say, okay, here's all the components of this food. Here's, on a chemical level, biology, here's the nutritional value of this food. That's great. Okay. In a black and white world, that would be fine. Okay. But we don't live in a black and white world. When we wrap up all the emotions to it, it's like, oh, I love this food. This is so enjoyable. This is so awesome. That boosts our metabolism. We actually get more nutrients out of that food than what the chemical value on paper is. Our body is more nourished by it. Make sense?
Absolutely.
Dig it.
And changing lifestyle and habits, it doesn't happen overnight, because you've been acquiring these habits for in your previous years of your life, and you've been reaffirming that over and over again. So what I see with a lot of people when they take on a new diet or a new routine, they take it on strong and they feel good about it, but then when they mess up, they spiral down.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh shit, and then it's like, oh my.
And you get into that cycle of shame, man.
So if you could avoid that spiral, and the two pizzas were just the two pizzas, instead of, oh, well, I ate the two pizzas last night, so I'll eat an Egg McMuffin in the morning, and then I'll do this, and then I'll do this, then you'd be so much better off. And another thing is loving yourself in the process, because it's expected. It's expected on your journey to be setbacks. It's part of the process. But when you have a system in place where you can love yourself and you can appreciate your progress and keep moving forward and allow those setbacks to be very minimal, then that's when you see true growth and expansion.
Yeah. Well, it's like the ebb and flow. I mean, you look at, your heartbeat, you look at the, tides of the ocean, you look at, the stock market. I mean, there's any number of areas you can look at the ebb and flow of life. There's not a straight line. It's not a straight upward course. It's there's always going to be little dips and hills and valleys and shit like that. And so if you eat two pizzas, cool. Understand, okay, this was a valley for me, and that's cool. In the next moment, I'm making a new decision. I get and be conscious, like, oh, okay, I ate two pizzas. How does my body feel? Not from a place of, oh, I feel so fat, or anything like that. It'd be just like, okay, how does my body feel just having eaten two pizzas? A little lethargic, a little sluggish, not necessarily awesome the way I want it to feel. Okay, cool. Noted. Next time that I want to feel groggy and lethargic and sluggish, this is what I'll choose. But if I want to feel energized and light and free, maybe I'll make a different food choice next time. You know, and it's just being conscious. No beat up, no judgment, no, you know, right or wrong. Just this is what it is.
And the thing that's coming through me through inspiration is just the topic of upper limits. And it wasn't something that we were initially going to talk about, but just touching on it, it's, you know, if you're expanding in any area of your life, you could have an upper limit in another area. You could make $2,000 more than you were in any usual week, and you could gain $2,000, and all of a sudden you're stuffing your face with pizza, and then you're falling in that shame and you feel bad about it without realizing why it happened. And the reason why it happened in your mindset, you were sabotaging yourself, and you felt like you had it so good that you had to find some way to bring you back down to your normal level, your normal vibration. So a lot of times when people go on these diets or change their lifestyle, they feel like they're doing good. They make a Facebook post and say, hey, I lost 20 pounds. I'm awesome. And then all of a sudden they end up back where they used to be because they hit an upper limit, and the message that they were telling themselves was, I'm not good enough to have six-pack abs, or I wasn't good enough to lose 20 pounds, so I need to get back to where I was. Yeah. So I want to start sabotaging myself with shame and guilt and food.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. You know, the other thing that's just kind of coming to me along those lines is, you know, when it comes to your health and your body, you know, love your body for where it's at, man. So you don't have the six-pack abs. Awesome. You know that you want them. Cool. Work towards it, but appreciate the journey too. You know, love your body for what it is.
Oh no. Looks like are you there? Oh no. He'll be back. Jay will be back. But just adding on to what he was saying, like just loving your body where it is, and what you focus on expands. So if you're focusing on disappointment in your body and where it's at, then that's going to expand. But if you focus on the things that you love about your body, then that expands as well. So maybe it's like, okay, well, I'm not six-pack abs yet, but I noticed like these definition in my thighs and my calves, or I noticed some definition within me that I really appreciate. So when you appreciate the things that you do see that you love about yourself, and you love the moment that you're in right now, then that starts to expand.
Sorry, I dropped off there for a minute.
Yeah, I continued on with your subject about loving your body where it is, and saying that if you appreciate where you are right now, what you have right now, that will expand. So maybe you don't have the six-pack abs, maybe, you know, but maybe you see some definition that you can focus on. You say, wow, I love myself for being here. I love myself for like the definition in my thighs or my calves, or things of that nature. We spend our whole lives criticizing ourselves, and we've been conditioned to criticize ourselves and wonder why we're not at the space we want to be yet. We get so caught up in that energy, we end up staying there because we're focused on the negative.
Yeah. Well, and part of that too is, you know, in acknowledging your body, just like really like, look, you know, this is the body that's gotten me to where I am today. You know, this is the body that's brought me to this very point where now I'm making the decision to eat healthier. Now I'm making the decisions that are going to support me getting those six-pack abs. You know, if it wouldn't have been for this body, I never would have come to this point. You know, the lessons that I've learned from this body, the experiences I've had in this body brought me to this very point. I may never have had the drive and the inspiration and the commitment to get those six-pack abs if it hadn't been for everything I went through with this body up into this very point. You know, so be grateful for that. Acknowledge the journey. And, you know, like I said, with the food and the nutrition, it's like, stay out of the place of like beating yourself up, because, you know, that's damaging to you. Enjoy the food, enjoy the journey. It's like, all right, sweet. You know, I got about 40 pounds to lose. I want those six-pack abs. That's a journey right there. You're looking at, you know, 1.5 to 2 years minimum, you know, even under some of the most, you know, rigid training regimens to get those six-pack abs, if that's where you're walking around at. So enjoy the journey. You know, enjoy watching, you know, the weight fall off. Enjoy learning about food as you're going through, what foods support you, you know, and really what's going to get you what it is you want. And even more than that, like the big picture idea, it's like, okay, you want six-pack abs. Why? What are those six-pack abs going to get you? You know, what's it going to get you in your relationship? What's it going to get you in your business? What's it going to get you in your spirituality? What are those six-pack abs going to enable you to have? What are they the doorway to? Make sense?
Absolutely. Just telling yourself, oh, six-pack abs, there's no emotion attached to that.
Right.
And and a lot of times people attach to six-pack abs is, thinking of like what other people will think of them when they take their shirt off. And when you take that attachment, when you take that goal into validation of other people, it's not going to be strong with you. And actually putting that with validation of other people, then that comes from a place of lack of self-love. And if you don't love yourself enough, then you won't love yourself enough to continue on the journey, and you'll fall into those sabotaging habits.
Yeah. No, absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
So we got to do a commercial break.
Get somebody from the back end on the front end.
Do you need penis enlargement pills? We will send it to you today. Now, I'm looking on here. So let's see. The next topic we wanted to hit was healthy recipes for folks who don't like to cook.
All right, sweet. So here's kind of my no-fail system for that. Okay, if you don't like to cook, that's cool. The best solution is to hire somebody to cook for you. Okay, easy enough. You don't like to cook, you want to eat nutritiously, awesome. Hire somebody to do that for you. Just outsource it and get on with your life. If that's not an option for you, cool. Spend as little time doing it as you can. So here's kind of my tricks of the trade. You want to eat healthy, if you know what your macronutrient needs are, or you just, basically want to, eat healthy in as varied a template as possible. Give yourself some building blocks. Okay, so give yourself an hour or two each week, like just 2 hours at a shot to prep everything. Okay, so in that 2 hours, you're going to pan sear and roast off a bunch of chicken. Okay, just do the math in your head. It's like, okay, for every meal, I need about 6 ounces of protein. Chicken's going to be my, what it is. If you want to mix it up, cool. Do some pork chops in there as well. Do some, some beef in there as well. Okay. Get some building blocks. Okay. So now you've got some protein staples set aside. Awesome. Prep some vegetables as well. Just like peel a bunch of carrots, chop them up, chop up a bunch of onion, get some green, whatever vegetables you prefer. Cool. Get some building blocks ready there as well. Starches. You can make rice in advance. You can make potatoes in it. One of my favorite ways to do potatoes, which is really easy, is just cube them up, toss them in some olive oil, a little salt and pepper, roast them in the oven. Give them about 30 minutes at 500. They'll have this nice golden crispness to them, a lot of flavor to them, and then you can just supplement your starches. Rices, again, you can cook rice ahead of time, or if you got a rice cooker, just throw it in. Okay, so now you've got some building blocks to work with. Okay. You're hungry, it's lunchtime, it's like, what have I got? Okay, sweet. Let's grab some chicken. We'll grab some tortillas, which I also have in the fridge, grate up a little bit of cheese, throw some veggies on there that I already have prepped, maybe some salsa, boom, street tacos, okay? All right, dinner, what do I want? Let's see. Well, I got some rice, I got some pork. Let's take one of those pork chops, cut that up, throw a little soy sauce in there, some vegetables in a wok. Awesome. Now I got stir fry, over rice, So you've got all these building blocks. You're eating very healthy because you're eating whole proteins, fresh produce, and watch your starches. Not that you're not eating processed starches. You're eating like your potatoes, your sweet potatoes, your whole grain rice, things like that. And then whatever little bit of sauce or flavoring, any spices that you use to flavor that, that's great. Add that to whatever category is applicable in your nutrient values. But then you're spending 10 to 15 minutes prepping each meal at most. It's really just enough to heat things up so that you've got a nice, healthy, fulfilling meal for you. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, definitely. You save energy, you save money.
Yeah.
And really, if you looked at everything you did with that aspect, then life is so much easier, especially being an entrepreneur and having a lot of things going on. If you were to map things down in time blocks instead of going from one thing to another all the time, then life would be so much easier.
Exactly.
Some people are addicted to being busy and multitasking, and then they end up running around busy like a chicken with his head cut off.
Exactly. So that's probably one of the simplest ways I know to eat healthy. The other thing, if you got a, and that's like for somebody that like has a rough time boiling water, you know, those are all easy things to do that pretty much anybody can do. If you have questions on how to do any of those, in fact, maybe I'll shoot a video on that, just how to get like a bunch of prep done and throw a few meals together just on the fly kind of thing. I'll keep you in the loop on that one. But really, you plan a little bit too. You know, planning is like in any aspect of your life, planning is key. You know, so if you plan out, it's like, okay, I know that I need 6 ounces of protein per meal. I know I'm going to be eating, you know, 7 lunches this week and only 5 dinners because I know I'm going out to dinner, this corporate dinner, and I got a date night, you know, coming up. So 5 dinners, 7 lunches, you know, how much protein is that? Do the math, figure it out. Okay, that's this many pounds of chicken. Okay, great. Go to Costco, buy a big old thing of chicken, cook up that much chicken so it's already ready for you, you know. Figure out, think in your head. It's like, okay, one night I'll do stir fry, one night I'll do, you know, just figure out what you're going to do, which ones, you know, which vegetables you're going to throw with what sauces and spices you're going to use, and just throw all that shit together, you know. So then, you know, it's like, okay, here's what's on this day. There's no thinking, there's no pondering. It's like, oh, I'm hungry. What should I eat? You know, if you ever get to the point where you're hungry and you're wondering what to eat, you're too far gone. You're going to make a bad decision, you know. If you plan ahead, it's much easier to eat healthy because you've got all that healthy shit laid out for you. You know it's only going to take 10 minutes, and you know exactly what's on that list. So it's like, okay, you know, today's Thursday. It's 2 p.m. This is what I eat. Make sense?
Most definitely.
Plan that shit out, man.
And along the lines with delegation, mentioning, you know, like a lot of people feel like they're not in a position to delegate. And like one story that comes to mind, and I believe it was in the book, The Big Leap. This entrepreneur was fixing this printer, and he spent like 7 hours or 8 hours, or maybe it was even 12 hours during a Saturday trying to fix this printer. So meanwhile, he's getting pissed off because it's not in his zone of genius. It's not his passion to fix printers. He doesn't know how to do it. And meanwhile, he's getting in arguments with his wife because his wife's pissed off because she's not spending time. She's not able to spend time with him, and he's not in a good mood either because he's doing something he doesn't like doing. And he's not operating in his business as well. You know, yeah, I believe it was The Big Leap. So I'll just say Gay Hendricks was talking to him. He's like, okay, well, how many hours did you spend on fixing this printer? So he's like, okay, it took me 12 hours. And then he's like, okay, so how much are you worth an hour? And it was something high, like in the thousands. So he's like, so you just spent $12,000 or $20-some thousand fixing a printer for the whole day. He's like, what do you mean I spent that money? He's like, you could have been making all this X, Y, and Z money, but you decided to fix a printer. So what I'm driving home here is stay true to what your passion is, what your zone of genius is, and dedicate your life to continuously expanding into your zone of genius to where you're living fully in your zone of genius instead of trying to do everything, trying to be the jack of all trades. There's no shame in hiring an expert at what he does and having that delegated for you. And I mean, we always tend to look at the cost. We always tend to look at, you know, what's it going to cost me up front, but we never look at what is it going to cost, what kind of time is it going to cost me if I don't do it.
Well, you know, I love that example because it's like, you know, okay, great. So if a water main bursts in your house, do you really give a shit how much it's going to cost to fix it? No, you call the plumber and you get his ass down there to fucking fix the pipe. You know, you don't think about, oh, this is going to cost me, you know, oh, I can't afford it. Oh, maybe I can duct tape that shit and do it myself. No, you call a plumber and you have him fix it. Okay. Same thing with anything else in your life. You know, I don't put the tires on my own car. I go down to the tire shop and have them do it. They change my brakes, they change my oil, you know, all of these things. Sure, I could do, but it's, you know, at what cost? You know, anything that's not in my zone of genius that doesn't have to do with the food or the cooking or the, you know, really caring for my clients and the passion that I have for it, that gets offloaded. You know, that gets delegated to somebody that loves doing whatever it is they do. You know, I don't even, like, my crew loves me because I have a cleaning lady that comes in after us. You know, cleaning up the kitchen, not my deal. She loves it. She's good at it. you know? So for me, it's totally worth the money I pay her each week to just leave my kitchen a wreck and come home a couple hours later and have it be just sparkling clean. You know, that's so worth the investment to me, because I don't have to worry about it. There's no stress in it. There's, you know, I know that I head out to deliver food to my clients. And when I come home, my house is awesome.
Absolutely. Well, one day I came back home and Leslie tells me there's water on the basement floor. The pipes broke. So in order to get to those pipes, you got to cut out the drywall and fix them up. So instead, I paid, I think it was like $2,000 to have someone replace all the pipes in the house. And a lot of people questioned my decision. They're like, well, that's a lot of money. Why wouldn't you do that yourself? Well, it took them a day. So that means it would take me probably 4 days. That's 4 days of not being productive, trying to fix pipes to save money. And I made more than that money during that time period. So I wouldn't have been creating that money if I were to say, hey, I want to fix these pipes.
Yeah, no, exactly right. You know, and the same thing applies to food. You know, I mean, a lot of people think, oh, personal chef, that's a luxury. No, if food is not your zone of genius, awesome. Delegate it to somebody, you know. If you like to cook, but you don't like the planning, great. Delegate that to somebody. You know, I mean, I've got probably a dozen or so clients that love to cook. They just have problems with the inspiration. You know, it's like, oh, what do I cook each night? You know, and so, I mean, I've got a service where here's the menu. Here's what I'm cooking for my clients. Here's the recipes. Here's the friggin' shopping list. You know, everything is handled for you. You don't have to do a damn thing other than go get those groceries and then cook what's on the list each night of the week. The planning is done for you. You know, that's not your zone of genius. Cool. Here it is. Take it, you know. And you know, that's fine with it. If it's not in your zone of genius, let go of it. Delegate it, you know. Let it go.
You feel
I think we kind of ran that topic out.
Yeah, I feel like I cleared all the delegation energy.
I'm feeling that too.
So, do you have limiting beliefs, Jay?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. No, in fact, one of my this will let me get just like real vulnerable and share here. One of my biggest ones is just around my own eating. You know, it's like I don't eat well, and my trainer's always on me about it. She's like, how is it that you provide all of this amazing food to everybody else and you don't feed yourself? I was like, oh, well, you know, I mean, I get like the surface level answers come up, and it's like, you know, okay, you know, I get busy, I get prepping my food for my clients and stuff, you know, so I don't make time to feed myself, you know. But really what it comes down to, the most honest answer is it's a worthiness issue, you know, and I've known this for a while, and this is something that I'm working on, but it's like, am I worthy of, you know, having this amazing food, you know, for myself? Am I willing, you know, worthy of eating the same food that I prepare for everybody else? You know, so really digging into that, it's like, oh, wow, you know, all these new feelings about food are coming up, you know, and this is, I don't know, I think that's part of what really helps me be a better coach to my clients is I can empathize with where they're at. I dig it. You know, I know what it's like to have these food beliefs and these, you know, these limiting beliefs around food and health and fitness, you know, and I'm not by any means perfect. You know, I'm still on my journey, you know, but because food is my passion, you know, maybe I'm a few steps further up the ladder than you are, and I can help you up those next couple steps. You know, that's kind of where I'm at. So, and I've got mentors above me being like, hey, you know, I've been on those steps. Let me help you up a couple steps.
Yeah, on the topic of limiting beliefs, I'll share something I had shared earlier this week. And one big limiting belief that I had in Havasupai when we were in Havasupai was heights. And my belief that, like, I was always told in my life that I was uncoordinated and, you know, I wasn't able to do physical stuff like that. And so we're all sitting there and we see our mentor, our brave mentor, go climbing up the mountain or the rocks or whatever, and he jumps off, and I'm looking at that and I'm like, you know, wow, that'd be awesome if I could do that. And I wasn't even thinking like that I would be doing it that night. But then he starts calling me over. He's like, Brandon, come over. And I was like, oh, no, that's cool. That's cool. They're like, no, Brandon, come over. Like, no, that's cool. That's cool. No, Brandon, seriously, come over. I'm like, no, that's cool. Eventually got me over there. And so the waterfall is coming down and water splashing in my face. I feel like I'm in a hurricane and I'm getting pushed back and forth by the current. And I could actually I was actually letting the water take me away a little bit. And he's like, Brandon, are you ready? So my limiting beliefs are coming up really strong. And so the first try, it's like the rocks are all slippery, and I don't want to wear the grip or anything like that. And I get a little bit of help on the first rock, but just like so many thoughts were coming up for me because it's like, wow, these rocks are slippery. I don't know if I'm going to get a good grip. I might fall off going halfway up. But I got my grip, and then I felt like I had a handle on it. I was like, okay, wow, I can climb up here. So slowly but surely, not too slow. I was just taking my time to get up there and get my place on the rocks, and then I finally get to the top, and I'm looking down. I'm like, well, shit, it's going to be easier to jump than to go back. And I'm looking and everyone's staring at me because they can tell, because I'm just looking everywhere. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I'm trying to place my feet the perfect way. And I'm having all these limiting beliefs come up and all these fears that I've probably gathered when I was a child. And maybe my parents warned me about, the safety and don't climb up too high or you might hurt yourself, something like that. And I saw a clearing that I had to clear, so that freaked me out even more. And the funny thing is, if you actually look at the jump from far away, you can easily look at somebody do it and be like, wow, they can easily clear that. Mm-hmm. But perception is reality to us. So I was looking down and I was like, wow, I could slip and bust my head on this thing if I'm not careful. So I'm feeling all this fear energy, and then and eventually I hear people yelling up to me to source my own power, to breathe, and not to jump off of adrenaline. So I source my own power, and oddly enough, as soon as I breathed deeply, it was automatic. I wasn't even full. It just automatically happened. I don't want to say I wasn't in control. I felt like an ultimate control, but it just happened. I felt ready to take the jump. Usually I go in the concept of if the fear leaves your body once you take the action, but it was right before I took the action, the fear left just because I took that deep breath. So driving this home, it's with your limiting beliefs, a lot of times you get caught up in the fear and there's a slideshow going through your mind and it's paralyzing you. It's like you can't function. You can't do anything when you got all this fear going on in your mind. You're in flight or fight mode. You're in this and a way to help you with that fear is excitement without breath. So if you take a deep breath and you tell yourself that you're the source of your own power, and maybe not, you probably wouldn't dance if you're on a cliff, but if you're doing something fearful, if you're calling someone that you have a fear of talking to or something along the lines of that, if you get movement in your body, you get out of those limiting beliefs that have been haunting you. So that's one thing that you can source it yourself. But to be honest with you, without the accountability, without the coaches there by my side helping me through that, I would have never even climbed up the damn thing.
Uh-huh.
So it's really tough not to be able to do it without guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And no one can actually carry you up the mountain. No one can actually make it happen for you. No one can put a magic spell on you and then your whole world changes the next morning.
Uh-huh.
But the beauty of having a mentor and an accountability system is that you have someone who's already did it and they're leading you every step of the way, and you're safe. Mm-hmm. You're completely safe and you're doing it yourself, and your fears do come up and it does get uncomfortable as hell and you feel the resistance, but now you're empowered to get over that resistance and go along the journey in more ease and flow.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I want to touch on one thing that you said there about standing up there and sourcing your power. I'm not a fan of the water. At least I didn't used to be. Cliff diving. I knew that cliff diving was coming up on this Havasupai trip that we went on, and that was like probably the thing that I was least excited about. It was like the truth. I mean, the truth of it is, it was like if I can find a way to not do that part, I totally will. Like if I got to fake a stomach cramp or some shit to not have to jump off that thing. That's what I'm doing. That's just the way it's going to be, And, when Marcy said that about sourcing our power, she's like, don't go into it, psyching yourself up. I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do it. I got this, and psyching yourself up, getting into that adrenaline and I guess more or less frenetic state. She said, no, just be calm about it. Source your power. I was like, oh, I can totally do that. Mm-hmm. It's like that very first, I didn't jump the first day that you guys did because, I had just barely got down from the hike. I was way behind you guys. But that second day when we went out cliff jumping, I was like the second one. I was like, okay, I dig this. I can totally do this.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Well, Tish was like, I mean, if Tish wouldn't have been, as fast as she was, I would have been the first one up. It's like, no, I got this. I can go out there. I could, and it's not like I just walked out there and jumped because it wasn't, I mean, you get out on there on the edge and it's like, all the fear comes up and it's like, okay, are you going to get into the adrenaline and psych yourself out for it? You're just going to stand here and do your thing, and so I just stood there, took a couple deep breaths, just, okay, cool. I'm always safe. I watched Tish just do this. I can totally do this, so just breathe and jump, ta-da, and it was that quick and easy.
Yeah, definitely that second time, it felt a lot easier for me because after doing it the first time, but that fear still came up because it was a pattern, that's been within me. But it's like, oh yeah, I know what's going to happen now. When I understand what my mind is doing, so I was able to channel that power a lot easier.
Well, and that's the other thing you touched on about the mentors. Just having somebody who's done it before. That's one of the most rewarding parts about working with people and their beliefs about food that I have. I've been there. I know what this is. I've walked this path and I know what you're going through. I know what you're feeling. I know these thoughts that you're having. They're familiar to me. Let me show you something different. I know that you want to change. You said you want to change. You want something different. Let me show you. Let me show you how I did it. And maybe it's not that, maybe this path isn't the right one for you, but maybe, just by opening this door, something else will, inspire you and you can find your path. But I've walked, I know this one, I know this feel, I know this pain. Let me show you how I got past it.
Absolutely. There's Katie. So like when you're on your path and you're actually stuck in it, like me being up on the cliff, it seems scary to me at that time, but everyone looking up there is like, no, dude, you got this. So when you're on your path, all the resistance that come up in your way and all the limiting beliefs, they seem so real. Mm-hmm. It's almost like a matrix. It seems like everything seems so real, but when you have a mentor that's like standing up there and he has like an overview, like he's got like this, like a stadium view of what's going on. It's like, oh man, you just walk that way and you're totally clear. Yeah. So it's almost like you're going through this obstacle course, and with a mentor, you have somebody in the box seats in the window looking at it. It's like, yep, you just gotta make a left right here and go straight over this way, and you'll be cool, and you'll avoid all the danger.
Well, that's I think you would agree on this, but I know for me that's a big part of the reason that I chose to be involved in this epic date night thing. It's like I've walked this path. I've been married to my sweetheart for 18 years, and it hasn't all been fluffy kittens and little pink hearts and unicorns and rainbows and shit. We've had some really hard times, and having worked through all of those challenges in our relationship, through our dating life, through our married life, and everything, it's like, okay, maybe some of this could be valuable to somebody else, and help them find the one that, that they're looking for, find happiness in a relationship, that true, deep, just visceral joy of being with another person, and connecting on that level, and, maybe what I have to offer with food can help them in that regard, you know, whether it's getting their bodies in shape so that they feel comfortable being with another person. Because I know that's, you know, I find that a lot with, you know, my clients is, you know, they don't feel worthy to be with someone else because their body looks a certain way. You know, they have all these conversations and decisions that they've made about their body and about their worthiness based on their physical appearance, you know? And so it's like, okay, cool. Let's work through those mindsets. But then if, you know, at the end of those mindsets, you know, stripping all that stuff away to where you're able to look at your body for what it really is, and see it objectively. If you want to make changes to that, cool, let's do that. Let's make some changes, you know, and digging into the diet stuff and, you know, eating healthier, which is a very, very simple thing to do. You know, but then it's not oh, I have to lose weight so that I'm worthy of, you know, somebody saying yes to a date with me, or I have to, you know, book up, or I have to look a certain way in order for somebody to say yes to me. You know, then it's a matter of, okay, cool. You know, this is, you know, this is where I'm at, you know, and I appreciate where I'm at. And now let's move forward and make changes that I want to make for me, not because I don't feel worthy, not because I'm trying to, you know, get somebody to say yes to me, or whatever the case may be, where it's just okay, cool. I dig where my body's at, and that's not getting me the results that I want. So now I'm going to, you know, I'm going to make some changes there. You know, and that's, to me, that's really what this epic date night is about. It's like, you know, you want this, clearly, you know, you want something, you want that relationship, you want to, you know, be confident talking to the opposite sex or whatever. Great. Let's get you there. You know, I've walked that path. I know what that pain is. I know what that uncertainty is. I know what that judgment is. Let's get through all that bullshit and strip all that away and get down to brass tacks and figure out what it is that, you know, the two of us can provide to them such that their life is better.
Absolutely. And me being in a healthy relationship now, it just wasn't always like that. And the thing is, being in the home that I grew up in, where the relationship between my mother and father wasn't totally functional, my mom being an alcoholic and then my dad enabling her, and they'd always get in arguments, and there was always blame and fighting and things of that nature. Me as a child, I was seeing that as what relationships look like.
Right.
So I noticed growing up, like in my late teens, I was taking that in the relationships I was getting into. And luckily, I wouldn't say luckily, but I'm fortunate to have come across the information and self-improvement to design myself as a different man to build the relationship I'm in today, because my relationship before this was total destruction from what I've created, from what I've absorbed with my parents. And the thing is, if you don't take awareness to this, you continue to repeat that pattern over and over again. That's why you have a lot of people who've experienced 2 divorces, 3 divorces. And if you look deep into it, it's all from the same issues. And it's like there's some truth to, like, I married my own mother, because that's what you see in relationships. And then you go out and you marry your own mother. So I see a lot of people go through these patterns. And there was a stage in my life where I was single and I was sick of women altogether. And I see a lot of men in that aspect too. And I'm sure there's plenty of women who are sick of men altogether, and they think all men are evil and things of that nature. But not only that, they link relationships as something that holds them down, as something that gets worse over time, as something that the sex dies after we get married and everything's boring, and I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do things that are out of integrity with myself. So there was a stage in my life where I looked at relationships in a negative light, and I looked at, you know, just getting deep and intimate with another woman as something negative, something that would hold me down. So I thought that I was confident. I thought that I was strong, and it was good that I was able to improve myself as a single man. But then came another step of realizing that there was another step of being open to receiving love, and being open to where I can share love with another human being instead of closing off on people, because putting those walls up, guarding my emotions, was not brave. It wasn't confident. It didn't make me a warrior or anything. I was actually being a pussy. So overcoming that, that's when I created the relationship with Leslie. And even being with Leslie, there has been times where we give you, like I was talking to my clients today about the silent treatment. And we thought like, oh, we're good because we don't argue, we don't fight, we don't yell at each other. So we're a good, healthy relationship. But there were times where we give each other the silent treatment. And I noticed it was a pattern in our relationship that happened once a month. And I'm not saying it was that time of the month, but it was actually like midway through the month every month. And it had nothing to do with PMS or anything like that. It just, for some reason, there was a glitch in our relationship where we decided to fight each other every 15th or somewhere around that time. So it's just a long journey of finding the patterns, having breakthroughs from those patterns, and getting curious about what kind of patterns that you've adopted as a child from your teachers, from your parents, and from your upbringing. Because even to the early stages of your mom being pregnant with you, she was downloading her thoughts into you. Mm-hmm. So the beauty of having this type of breakthrough in the long term of the training, like right here, we're giving you some awesome information that you can take home and be like, oh, awesome, I can apply this and this, and it will give you some results. But without having the long term breakthrough, you'll have a hard time when those upper limits hits. So when you hit those upper limits and you drift off, then you could drift off way back to where you started. Mm-hmm. When in actuality, if you had a coach or a mentor to kind of look overhead and be like, nope, you go this way, everything is fine. Everything that's being created in your mind right now, you're sort of like in a flight or fight mode, and you're causing drama for no apparent reason. There's really no root cause to that. When you have someone to tell you that and keep you accountable, it makes a world's difference.
It really does.
So, we're almost done. No one's coming in late. So
I don't know if I feel good or bad about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want someone to come in now and then be like, "Oh, you're going to hang out for another hour?" No, we got kind of covered.
No, yeah, we covered what we wanted to cover.
But anyway, I wanted to give an invitation to you guys that are listening or listening to the replay is to reach out to me or Jay, or sign. I'll probably have this link to a form below, or fill out the form below if you want long-term results to moving forward, and we'll have a conversation and see what's the best fit for you.
Brilliant.
Is that all you got?
That's all I got, man. I was just like checking. It's like, no, I'm good. I'm clean.
Awesome.
Shared what I came to share, man.
Well, you guys got 1 second to come here.
Coming from the back end just to say hi. Hi.
Yeah, we got some people in the back end.
Nice. Very nice.
So anyway,
all right, brother.
Peace. So hard
to
say
for the opportunity. I know, right? It's like I just want to like reach you and like hug you again, you know?
Here. Oh. We're hugging all of you too.
All right, I love you, brother. You have a great afternoon, man. We'll talk soon.
All right, love you too, man.
Bye-bye.